And the PAP purposely chose a rainy season to hold the elections, isn't it? Because when it rains, it's more difficult to go around, it's more difficult to attend rallies, and they don't need rallies. Nobody goes to PAP rallies to vote for the PAP. But people go to the opposition rallies to hear out what they have to say, things that they have no chance to air in the mainstream media, where the rally site is the only place, the rally itself being the only chance whereby our opposition parties can reach out to people. We have elections, and that is something to be grateful for. At least we are not North Korea or China, where there are no elections and there's absolutely no way you can make your voices heard in any way. There's absolutely no way you can decide who your leaders are in any way. I'm not saying we are a perfect system, but at least we have elections. But having elections doesn't mean it is a very free and fair system, right? It is still very far, right, from a very, very fair and free system. Laugh all you want about America being this warped democracy, having all these problems, and then, the Zhonghua will be talking about America having this and that problem, BLM and stuff, riots, people can hold guns, la 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 la. And then on the left, you also have critics of America saying America's system is not democratic enough, right? Compared to the European standard of proportional representation and all those bullshit. America's first past the post system, whereby it elects its number one head directly by the people, is, quote, not democratic enough to these fucking idiots. Fucking idiots, I call them. I am not here to argue which one is better or which one is worse. Both has its pros and cons. The European way, the American way, both are democratic, both are free and somewhat fair to me. Of course, there are places where it has gone too much to one side, too much power to one side. For example, the UK, far too much power on the left. All right, even though people say Labour Party, Conservative Party, not much different. Yeah, not much different, both on the left. That's why. Right? Same thing with Canada. Just held its election today, and the Liberal Party won. And some people say Liberal, Conservative, not much different. And it's true. It's very, very true. Right? Only in America, where maybe in the past, in some of the years, the Democrats and the Republicans are synonymous to each other. They are not much different from each other. Maybe there was a time, some time back, when they are just too similar, right? Because they are both very establishment, they are both very deep state, and they are both very not working for the people, basically. Do we want that? We don't. Why do we even want that? It's not something to be proud of. It is something to be happy if you are a very, establishment kind of person. You don't want change, everything stable, vote who also the same one, then you will like that kind of situation, right? Unfortunately, not everyone is like that. And in fact, most people are not happy to have no change. Unlike a group of people I'm going to talk about today, most people actually do want some sort of change, right? It can be small change, it doesn't need to be a bloody dramatic change. Just small little change, and we are more than happy, right? The worst thing we can have is whereby we elect someone else, and that person also is not able to effect change. Then there's no use in elections. I have to agree with that. So we have to be grateful, not hateful. When America shows us the example of what it means to be able to change, right? With Donald Trump's rise to power. Obama, right? How many years ago was that? Let me count. 8 years ago, right? Some 16 years ago, in fact, because he was there for 2 terms. So 16 years ago, Obama gave Americans some hope of change, right? And that was good. People were willing to vote for change. But what did they get? They didn't get change. Obama didn't effect the change people wanted to see. Obama brought America backwards. That was his contribution, right? But the yearning for change is something we need to encourage. It's something good. Not every time it will succeed. For the case of Obama, it failed terribly, right? And for Donald Trump's first term, he also wasn't able to deliver a lot of his so-called promises. But this time round, the second term of Donald Trump, he's not giving any chances. He's not giving any fucks. And we need to celebrate that. Same thing for Singapore, right? We need some alternative party that is able to effect real change, right? And every time when we talk about this, right, there will be the other side of the coin, which I'm going to talk about later. For everything, there is always a good side and there's a bad side. Not everything is 100% good or 100% bad. We don't live in a world where you got 100% good and 100%. Only God is 100% good, right? And only the worst devil is 100% bad. But normal human beings are always both good and bad, both pro and con. If you are a Christian, you should be supporting democracy. You shouldn't be supporting dictatorship. You shouldn't have this very narrow, very one-sided view of the world. I don't think Christianity teaches you that. I don't think so. If you think Christianity teaches you that, you are learning the wrong thing from the wrong people, in the wrong church, in the wrong country. That's what I'm going to say, right? And I'm not going to mince words about that. Now, the group of people I'm going to talk about today are civil servants in Singapore. Civil servants. Our friend and foe. Yeah? And then you have the buses being so noisy. We have world-class, expensive public buses, but they don't look very, very efficient. They don't look very, very efficient. Thank you very much. I'm sounding like Lim Tian. And the reason why I like Lim Tian, the reason why many people in the opposition like Lim Tian, minus the Kunyangs, minus the women, most of us staunch opposition, we love Lim Tian because he speaks things as they are. Even Chee Soon Juan doesn't do that. Chee Soon Juan tries to portray himself as this brave martyr, protested on the streets, went to jail for us for speaking up. Come on now. Move aside. Your time is over. Right? People now don't even appreciate that. People back then didn't appreciate that. People now won't appreciate you now. Still, nothing has changed. Nothing much has changed. Right? So Lim Tian is the new Chee Soon Juan, and Lim Tian is a better Chee Soon Juan because Lim Tian says things like they are, unlike Chee Soon Juan. Chee Soon Juan may seem to be very brave, but if you think about it, just like the PAP, right? He chooses things to say, he chooses how he frames things. He's a good talker. I'm not denying that. He's a good talker just like Lee Kuan Yew. Right? But Lee Kuan Yew was more mesmerizing than him. Just like Lim Tian is more convincing than him. And the reason is simple. Lee Kuan Yew, Lim Tian, they are realists, not idealists. Lim Tian, Lee Kuan Yew, they talk things like they are. That's why people are convinced by them. That's why people listen. That's why people trust them. I don't care if you think this is a joke about me linking Lim Tian with Lee Kuan Yew to the level of Lee Kuan Yew and then saying people trust him. I know it sounds like a joke to you. It's okay. I don't care. I'm not here to convince you on anything. I'm just telling you what I think and what many staunch opposition think. That's all. I'm not telling you to agree. I'm not saying you have no right to laugh. Go ahead. It's your freedom. But what I'm telling you is the difference between Lim Tian and Chee Soon-juan. Because one is on the right, one is on the left. The lefties will always be stuck in his own circle, arguing with his own team forever and ever and ever. And at the end of the day, they wonder why they don't win. It's a bit like the Democratic Party in America. Lim Tian, yes, he hasn't won a seat. And in fact, he won't win this time either. In fact, he may get 20 to 30% only. But you see, that's the thing. That's the thing. The funny thing is, winning is important, but winning is also not everything. Right? And there are people that people respect. People respected Lee Kuan Yew. Like it or not, people respected Lee Kuan Yew. And you can dislike him, you can hate him. The leftists will throw him on the floor and step on his face. La 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 la. Cry all you want, babies. Cry all you want. Nothing's going to change the fact that people respected Lee Kuan Yew. And I am going to tell you that staunch opposition respect Lim Tian. Whether you like it or not. Whether the woke likes it or not. They like to fact check him. But their fact check, right, is as good as the fact check of Facebook. Because their fact check does nothing than to expose themselves as idiots, as sycophants, as brainwashed, politically correct duckheads, right, who are unable to think out of the box, just like the ultra-conservatives on the PAP side. You are very similar to the thing you hate. In fact, SGP, even PSP sometimes, and the PAP should marry because they are one and the same. They are just two sides of the same coin. The reason why I support Workers' Party is that at least, despite all the disagreements I have with the Workers' Party on many, many issues, on the whole, the WP proves to be not the same coin, right? And it looks like the same coin. That's the funniest part. The one that is closest to the PAP in terms of outlook, in terms of appearance, in terms of doing things, in terms of being prudent, in terms of being conservative, in terms of earning the trust and support of Singaporeans, the WP is the closest to the PAP. But it is also the furthest when it comes to certain core values, when it comes to the belief that we need real freedom and real change for Singapore. PAP doesn't believe in any change at all for Singapore. SDP and PSP believe in change as they define it, not as you define it. As their woke advisors define it. That's the problem. That's the problem. They don't really believe in real change. They believe in woke change. They believe in a new definition of everything under the woke's dictionary. That's their problem. They don't really believe in real change. The one that really believes in real change, Workers' Party and Lim Tian. Only these two. Like it or not. And Lim Tian and Workers' Party can hate each other. I know many Workers' Party supporters who hate Lim Tian. They look down on Lim Tian, they shit on Lim Tian, they think Lim Tian is the worst bloody hell in the world. It's alright. That's because they are not using they're not going deep into the matters. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Right? It's alright. But I'm here to tell you, these are the people who really believe in change, and we should support them, whether or not they win. Now, civil servants are the group of people I want to talk about today. After a very long prelude, civil servants really prove themselves to be slaves and dogs. Just today, I met another civil servant, a veteran in the Navy of Singapore. More than 10 years in the Navy already, so definitely a bit of age, of Indian descent, but very pro-PAP and believing in the old ways of doing things. Now, that's the thing. I have no problem with you believing in the old PAP. I have no problem in you supporting Lee Kuan Yew's PAP, because authoritarian as it is, Lee Kuan Yew's PAP was able to get the people's support. Again, that is something nobody can doubt. No hard leftist or hard rightist can ever deny that fact. Yes, he was a dictator. Yes, he was an authoritarian. But at the same time, he really, really won the people's support. He's a little bit, if you would like, right, like Duterte in the Philippines, a little bit like Donald Trump, if you would like to associate it that way, in America. That's the fact. He has the support, like it or not. So I have no problem with people supporting Lee Kuan Yew, but I have a very, very big problem with people not being able to see that the PAP today is so very different. Like, how to make you see it? Like, it is staring you in the fucking eyes, and you can deny it. And that is the reason why you're a civil servant, right? That is the reason why you can stay in that system for so long. And this is not the first time I see this pattern, right? Many other previous civil servants that I met, all of them, and men especially, right? Very, very, very much pro-establishment and very, very much unable to distinguish between the old PAP and the new. And I find it very sad. Very sad, because as men, the women, I don't fucking care. As men, we are supposed to be logical, we are supposed to be, more thinking, not just feeling. If you are swayed by the feelings that MediaCorp and SPH Media sways you towards, you're not a man. You're a kunyang. You're going with the flow. Whatever the pastor tells you, whatever the newspaper tells you, you take it like gospel truth. You're not a man. You're a kunyang. You're a eunuch. Right? A real man thinks logically, breaks things down. That is why so many male civil servants leave, because they can't stand it in the civil service. We can do a study. We can do a research on the numbers. I dare you. But I also met female civil servants who are sympathetic to the opposition cause. For the same reason, women are more sympathetic towards the left, and in this case, the opposition is seen as more to the left, more caring for people, feelings. So that is the reason why they support opposition, not because they are thinking, as I would like our men to do. Women, they go by feeling, and in this case, the feeling leads them to opposition. Even though I'm happy that they are on my side, it's for a very different reason, right? And as I said, I don't give a flying fuck about what the women think, because men decide. By and large, men decide. If men don't lead and don't decide, society will completely collapse. As they say, if only men could vote in America, Donald Trump would have won even the 2020 elections. Whether it's white or black or Latino or whatever, fuck. So, unfortunately, women also have a pie in this. They also need to be won over. So, as much as I want men to decide, the practical, because I'm also a practicalist, I'm not an idealist, I also see things practically. We have women voters, so we still need to appeal to them. We still need to win their hearts. We still need to use feelings to bring them over. That's just the way it is. And that is where Lim Tian doesn't do well. That is where Lim Tian is only able to sway male voters, whether in thinking or feelings. He's not able to sway female voters to his side. Yeah. Maybe only the conservative ones. Oh, by the way, Sylvia Lim, the most conservative member, candidate in the Workers' Party in this current slate, was chosen by none other than our dear Mr. Low Thia Khiang. Even while Low Thia Khiang was the Secretary General, he already decided that Sylvia Lim, this woman, will be his chairman, will be the number 2 in the party to oversee, to be the mama bear, to oversee all this younger males, females, whatever, what have you alike. Why did Low Thia Khiang choose Sylvia Lim? Think about it. Low Thia Khiang is definitely 100% a conservative. And that is why he won. If he were a fucking crazy leftist madman like Chee Soon-juan, he would be in jail. And as I say all you want about the Singapore political electoral system being unfair, unjust, unequal, Low Thia Khiang was able to win. Why? Because he thought, acted, and behaved like a conservative. He was hardworking, he was diligent, he worked the ground up, he didn't live unturned. He made sure to listen to the people and know what they want and fight for them and speak for their language. These are things that leftists won't and don't do. And that is why they lose. And I'm grateful that we have such a strict electoral system that keeps them out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not crazily anti-PAP. In fact, I'm grateful for many of the institutions that PAP has put in place and continue to put in place, and I hope they continue to do so. Because we don't need fuckers in our government. We don't need leftist crazies to fuck things up for us. Low Thia Khiang chose Sylvia Lim as the chairman, and then later Pritam Singh as his successor. Pritam Singh is no wokist. He is the furthest person you can get from being a wokist. In the Workers' Party, in all political parties in Singapore, Pritam Singh is the furthest from being a woke. Talk about foresight and precise decision making by our dear Mr. Low Thia Khiang. Really make Chinese school proud because he was Chinese educated. Really, really make us proud. With his broken English and Hokkien accented Mandarin, he was able to not just win Hougang and later Aljunied GRC, but to nurture this future team of leaders succeeding him and bringing and pushing the party even further ahead. This is no mean feat, my dear friends. And if, as I said, I need to repeat this again, if he were a Chee Soon-juan-like leftist, idealist, crazy idiot, the Workers' Party and us wouldn't be here today. We need to thank our conservative friends, even if today the Workers' Party is a leftist socialist party. Even if the values, the ethos and the principles that it upholds in order to maintain its position and growth is a conservative one, my friends. And that is why I support the Workers' Party. You guys know how much I hate socialism, communism, and all these isms. You guys know how much I agree 100% with the conservatives and the libertarians on the economy. And the Workers' Party is definitely falling short on being a capitalist. But for now, good enough for me. good enough for me. Because even though they have some socialist leftist policies here and there, they do not forget that Singapore is by and large still a capitalist free market economy, and they are far from wanting to dismantle it. They still talk about entrepreneurship, they still talk about free enterprise, they still talk about giving SMEs more voice, la 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 la. Pretty much still pro free market. Pretty much. Just because they have some idiot proposals and suggestions of some wealth tax, estate duty here and there, la la la. Too bad lah. It's just a politically correct thing to argue for. What minimum wage? Oh yeah, by the way, do you guys know the WP's proposed national minimum wage? Do you guys know the figure? The leftists would faint when they hear this figure. 1,600. The leftists would faint, right? The PSP's proposed minimum living wage is 2,000 something. Too high, right? Minimum is not something you want to set a high benchmark for, right? 1,006 doesn't mean everyone should be earning 1,006. Of course not. You, right? Most of you are earning way more than that, right? But 1,006 was set because there are people earning less than 1,006. Can you believe it? And should you support it? Think about it, right? WP really isn't asking for much. 1,006. Even Donald Trump would suggest a higher wage than that. But we are working in Singapore. We are working for Singapore. We need to work within the Singapore context, right? A good number, 1,006 is a good number. And I don't see why anyone should disagree with that. And the BAP can argue till the cows come home. Yeah, with my policies, you guys will be earning way more than that. Yeah, the question is who? The question is who you left behind. That's the question. And the WP promises not to leave anyone behind. And as much as I'm not a socialist, I agree with this slogan. I agree with not leaving anyone behind. Because that is the ethos, not of a socialist, but a conservative. That is the ethos of any civil, liberal society. We shouldn't be leaving anyone behind. That should be the basic principle. When it's not about left or right. In fact, I would argue that if you're on the right, the more you would be someone who wants everyone to prosper, everyone to be equal with a minimum standard. If you are a conservative, you wouldn't want anyone to go hungry. If you do, you're not a real conservative. That's what I can tell you. You are a leftist if you think people should be unequal, right? If you think the poor should be above the rich, if you think the working class should be above the whatever class. When you think in terms of hierarchy, you're a leftist socialist. If you think in terms of equality, ironically, you're actually a capitalist because you want equal chances for everyone. That's a capitalist thinking. That's free market thinking. Open door policy. Right? Of course, at the same time, we need to take care of our own people. We cannot be totally open door to all foreigners. And that is also something that Workers' Party champions. Taking care of our own first. Think about that. Is it really socialist? Is it really that socialist? No. I argue it's a conservative value. To take care of your own. To not leave anyone behind. I support Workers' Party. Simple. So back to civil servants. Civil servants, by and large, they are fixated in this thinking that Singapore will, they buy into this fear-mongering completely. Because to them, what if, there's a lot of what ifs, What if Workers' Party comes to power and then, we have riots all day? What if Workers' Party, collapses of government? What if the whole economy collapses? There's a lot of what ifs. And this is a very important and, to give them some credit, they are not totally wrong to have this fear. Not totally wrong. Because we do see things go that way in some countries. Even in America, the Democrats riot on the streets. What happened? A real democratic society that respects the one elected shouldn't be rioting the streets all day. But because of too much power on each side, and especially on the Democratic Party side, and their ability to mobilize all these people to do wrong, what if one day Workers' Party decide to go haywire, decide to go rogue and encourage us to riot on the streets? It can happen. I'm not saying it is 0% chance. Of course, from the way the Workers' Party presents itself as a responsible, respectable, opposition, it's very unlikely, but then who knows? Because with power comes certain things. So I'm not discounting that altogether. In Korea, we see, again, the democratic leftist side giving a lot of trouble to mainstream government. Is that something we want? In Europe, the far right giving trouble to the mainstream establishment parties. Not that they are saints, not that the governments themselves are saints, right? But then, is that what we want to see? Absolutely not. Right? Absolutely not. I'm not attacking or defending anyone here. I'm just saying it is a genuine, legit concern. I give it to them. I'm very fair. Because I only talk truth. I don't side with any side. I only side with the truth. That's the problem. That's the problem why I disagree with many, many, many people. In fact, all people. Right? So this concern is valid, but I'm not going to say, we don't want change just because there is this 10% chance of this thing happening. It's very, very stupid. Right? It's very, 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 very idiotic. Right? I rather take the chance. I rather take the risk. Right? We can calibrate along the way. We shouldn't say, don't want this, don't want that, don't want, then everything also don't want. Right? Then you'll be stuck in history, in the past forever. I don't know why so many civil servants have this very unable to get out of the box kind of thinking. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. And maybe that's the main reason why I left the civil service, why I left MOE. And now that I think about it, it's probably the best decision I could have ever made, because I don't want to be with this kind of people. I don't want to work alongside this kind of people who every little thing also scared one. It's like, you guys are seriously kunyang. And again, I go back to this man versus woman thing. If women think like that, I think it is perfectly normal. It is perfectly alright, and I don't give a flying fuck about it. But if our men, people with balls, do that, really society will collapse. Luckily, not everyone thinks like that. Luckily for Singapore, and on the east side of Singapore, luckily, the Workers' Party is able to win enough support to hopefully this time bring more change to Singapore.